Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, the Hut, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut 2. I hope you like this video and hit the subscribe button. So we're going to talk about the Major League Baseball free agent market, which this offseason has been horrendous, slow, glacial. This is slow, that's not what I'm saying, slow, glacial. Moving in reverse. So now I said, aside from Yamamoto and Shohei Ohtani, it has been a very slow market. Half the players that are free agents that went into the offseason are still free agents. And we are 3 weeks away from spring training. On February 14th in the New York Mets, it'll be pitchers and catchers. And really, that Wednesday, I'm recording this video on Monday, so it's got 23 days. So many players are still without a home. So I'm going to read you from CBS Sports. They have 4 reasons. I have a 5th reason. Headline: 4 possible reasons why MLB free agent market has remained frozen despite big names still on the market. Number 1, in roughly 3 weeks, pitchers and catchers. Well, quite frankly, the number 1 reason is this is a lousy free agent market. Let me read you the top part of this, because this is really who's left. And aside from the 2 big players from Japan, we have Blake Snell, who, even though he's won 2 Cy Young Awards, has had a rather average career. He's under 500 other than those 2 years as a player. And his walk rate is horrendous, on the side of like Ali Perez. Number 2 player that's on the market, Cody Bellinger, who is a former MVP, but he was basically the invisible man for 3 years. And he had a good year with the Cubs. He won the National League Comeback Player of the Year in 2023. But he's really, I don't know what the hell's going on with that guy. Then we had Jordan Montgomery, who has had to deal with some injuries, especially with the Yankees. And he pitched really well when they traded him to the Cardinals. Then he went to the Rangers last year. He pitched really well for the Rangers, helped them win a World Series. But quite frankly, he is a number 3 starter. He's looking for $200 million. So is Cody Bellinger. And Blake Snell has been trying to get a 7-year deal with some team. He's not getting it. And then Matt Chapman, who did not play the last 6 weeks of the season for the Blue Jays because he can't hit. He's terrible. Oh, that's one reason. The article says you can come up with reasons to avoid any and all of these guys. Shelled, walks too many batters. Chapman didn't hit much after April. A larger body of work tells us these are 4 really good players who would make just about every team better. Now, Chapman's a great defensive player, but his offense is so bad. He strikes out like 200 times in a season. Now, we know that once Soto got moved, he was a guy that, even the trademark's been really strange because Soto, the Padres didn't get much for him, quite frankly. They got a bunch of, middle relievers and a backup catcher, So it's not a great class, okay? But I would mention, just to update you, Aroldis Chapman signed with the Pirates. There's a lot of talk that he was going to go to the Mets. The Mets were interested in him, and they talked to him. Good thing that didn't happen. Wasn't all too enamored with that. Number 2 reason, according to this article, Scott Boras controls the top of the market. What do Bellinger, Chapman, Montgomery, and Sheld have in common? They're all Scott Boras clients. It is not a coincidence they are unsigned in mid-January. Boras is more than willing to wait on the market for top clients, and it's by design. With Yamamoto off the board, Montgomery, Sheld are the best available stars, and who do you have to call to get them? Exactly. Boras controls the top of the free agent market. Want an impact free agent? You have to go to him. It may seem like Boras has overplayed his hand. It often does. Honestly, the proof is in the pudding. There's one instance where he screwed up, and that was with Mike and Conforto. Because they screwed up their own market, and Michael had a terrible year in 2021. And then he didn't sign with the Mets, and then he got hurt, and really is really, I don't know where he is as a player now. That's the one instance where he screwed up. That's rather recently. I don't think that's a big deal. Boras having all these players. Number 3, quality trade candidates are available. Oh, really? Although we're still waiting for free agents to pick up, there have been several notable trades this offseason. Soto trade is the headliner. There's the Robbie Gray trade from the Mariners to the Giants. The Chris Sale trade, which I don't understand what the Braves are doing. This guy's been hurt for a long time. And then you give him an extension. I don't get that one. The Genio Suarez trade from the Mariners to the Diamondbacks. The Ty Glasnow trade. The Alex Verdugo trade. The Jared Kelenic trade. He went to the Braves. Alex Verdugo went to the Yankees. Glasnow went to the Dodgers. And there's been a fairly active trade market this one. There are still other good trade candidates out there, led by Dylan Cease. Most of these candidates, to be honest with you, most of these guys that get traded, they're better than what's on the market. To be honest with you. But not by much. Not by much, quite frankly. Other than Juan Soto. There's still other good trade candidates out there, led by Dylan Cease. You don't understand why teams may want to exhaust the possibility of a Cease trade before pivoting to Montgomery and Sheld. Shane Bieber's name is out there, so are Jorge Polanco's and Max Kepler's, Jonathan India's too. There are viable alternatives to free agency available on the trade market. This is a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, however. For example, teams may be holding off on pursuing Montgomery or Sheld until they see what happens with Cease. The White Sox GM Chris Getz has a high asking price Cease because the alternatives, well, given Montgomery or Sheld a big contract, is one big stalemate. Everyone's waiting for someone else to blink. And number 4 in this thing, the Diamond Sports Group situation. Diamond Sports Group, which operates the various Bally Sports regional networks, is going through bankruptcy proceedings. And several clubs are in danger of losing their local television contract. That includes the defending World Series champion Rangers, the always popular Cardinals, Twins, and others. There's a lot of uncertainty with local television revenue right now. That's good. That's terrible this time. Because of that, some teams have hit pause on their spending or not raised payroll as much as you expect them to do normally. That has hurt free agency as well. Why haven't the Rangers re-signed Montgomery yet? It's not because they don't want him. It's because their television situation is unsettled. And they have to get their ducks in a row before moving forward with a big free agent contract. The article says, I don't know how the Bally Sports situation will ultimately play out. There will be some short-term pain, undoubtedly. But MLB and the various teams will come out okay on the other side. They always do. Until this is resolved, though, more than a few clubs are not willing to take on additional money. There are simply fewer spenders out there right now. Well, these are their reasons. Okay? I think this thing with Yamamoto and Ohtani kicked the can down the road because they kind of took a long time, in my view, in my opinion, to decide when they wanted to sign with the Dodgers. And I think it was pretty obvious that they wanted to sign with the Dodgers. They let it be known they were going to sign with the Dodgers. But they dragged it out to a point where they dragged the market down. And as we get closer to Christmas, I think the owners realized that they can wait. Time is on their side, especially once the calendar flipped to 2024. And once that happened, folks, then they said to themselves, you know what? Why don't we wait until we get close to pitchers and catchers? Then we don't have to spend so much money. We don't have to spend so much that the players are going to get desperate. We don't need to get desperate. Okay? I think there's a bit of collusion. But I don't think it's a collusion that is spoken. I think it's a collusion that is unspoken. Now, if you know baseball history, 1987, after 1986 and 87, there was real collusion in Major League Baseball, where the owners decided they were not going to shell out any big contracts to any players. And if there were contracts signed, you had situations like, for instance, Andre Dawson went from the Expos to the Cubs, and he told the Cubs, just give me whatever you think is fair. I just want to get off the turf in Montreal because of my knees. Guys like Kirk Gibson had to stay in Detroit one more year because he couldn't find a place. Tim Raines, another Hall of Famer from Montreal, missed the first month of the season of 1987 because of collusion. and he didn't play until May 1st of that year. I would mention, as an aside, the belief was at the time that when the Mets went into the offseason, 86 into 87, that David Johnson wanted the Mets to sign Tim Raines. And because of that, that was like a domino effect, because then they went and he wanted that, Cashman didn't want that, plus there was collusion going on, and Major League Baseball said they didn't want any players being signed to any massive contract. So instead of the Mets doing that, they picked up Kevin McReynolds, who was a left fielder for the Padres. But that is sort of what happened back then. Do I think that's going on like right now? I don't think to that extent. But I think the market is playing out to a point where the owners don't have to sign anybody. And that's why this market has been very slow. Now, the reliever market has picked up over the last few days. Obviously, Josh Hader signed with the Astros. Aroldis Chapman signed with the Pirates tonight. And we saw Robert Stevenson sign with the Angels on the weekend. So you're starting to see some dominoes starting to finally fall. Or rather, Houston announced that they signed Hader today. He signed on Friday, excuse me. But you're starting to see now the dominoes with the relievers are starting to fall. And I would mention that Aroldis Chapman got 1 year, $10.5 million. So, and he'll get flipped. I mean, when we get to the trade deadline, he's going to get flipped to some good team. So he can make another postseason run. But he got the money that he wanted. I wouldn't have given him that much money if I was the Mets. I wouldn't have done that. It was a little too much, a little too pricey. But I think that for a fifth reason is a possibility. I like collusion on the part of the owners to sort of hold out for, better deals for themselves. And you can't blame them. All this money being spent, you got to cut costs somewhere. So, let me know what you think about this video. Of course, please subscribe to Baseball Head 2, and I'll see you later.